Hey, I'm Ryan. This is my brother Daniel, and this is Rolls in the Family. Today we are here with what I feel like is a pretty transparent topic here. Give the people what they want to hear. This is going to be us talking about the games that we have spent the most money on. And I don't think that we're normally, as far as, I mean, I guess it depends who you're comparing to, but I don't think we typically are spending tons of money on games just for the heck of it.
It's a really funny thing to say before we disclose all the information we're about to give.
Most of the games in our collection, we get, just the base games at normal price and whatever. But between expansions, expanding a game, and then just bigger games that cost more, there's kind of we're looking at those outliers in our collection, that top ceiling of what we spent. Now, this was difficult to figure out our exact methodology for, because we often get deals on games, like sometimes getting it secondhand or something.
I typically
and it's
just
like
steal games, but
so it's like, how do you handle that? And so, we decided, because some of these, I don't remember the deal I got on some game a decade ago or whatever. So we mostly went off of like kind of if
base
you
price,
had bought it new, this is what it is. There's some other tricky things with like games that's like what was more expensive because it was kind of out of print or so we tried to kind of we kept it mostly at kind of like if you had bought it at normal prices.
Yeah, that's an important caveat, so my wife doesn't watch this and have a heart attack. So
not all of these, though. I was telling Daniel, I was looking at my list.
Yeah, actually, most of them
mine,
I did pay.
I think most of mine are actually about what I did pay.
Is Mary a subscriber?
Yeah, we'll see. Okay. She wasn't before. Remember, there was that video.
That's true.
Subscribed during the video. No, my wife just has multiple YouTube accounts.
Okay.
So, we have 1,000 subscribers.
At least a quarter of them are 30 spam accounts from our wives.
Perfect. We're not nearly as popular as
we're not.
Seems.
But at least they love us.
If you have the same level of courage that we do, to drop in the comments below.
Oh man, I love it.
The games that you've spent the most money
what?
on.
No shame. Drop it down.
It's a good,
confession. Yeah,
and it's good to just be like, okay, do I feel like I've gotten out of it? And that's kind of what we're going to talk about: is how do we feel about
was it
having
good
it in our collection? So we'll have links to all these below if you're looking to spend some money.
Are we gonna link to everything that we all the things that we bought for the
probably
games?
Not all the expansion content. We'll probably link base games below
just
if
to
you
start you
want
off
to check them out.
And then
start the addiction.
Yeah, work up from there.
But I am very intrigued. Daniel, let's hit it with your number 5.
Okay. So my number 5 is one that I would imagine might show up on your list as well. This is one that is one that you spend a lot on because it is literally a game that the more the better. We love variability, and this is a variability machine. And so what do? You just keep shoveling, more and more into that machine. And that is going to go to Eldritch Horror. So I actually have less Eldritch Horror content than you, so this will be interesting to see where this falls for you if it makes the list. But for me, I have base game, and then I have 2 big box expansions, and it's the Pyramids one and the Mountains of Madness, and then I've got 3 small expansions: Forsaken Lore, Lost Carcosa is that one, and then
Strange Remnants.
Strange Remnants. There we go. Wow, I'm actually shocked.
It was brave of you to try to actually name them.
I know. But so that's quite a bit of content. There's still a little bit more I could get, correct? Because I
think total there's 4 small expansions and 4 big expansions. So you probably have 2 more big and a small.
Oh boy. I'm gonna go order it right now. No, but all in total is coming out to roughly $213 into Eldritch Horror, and I have no shame in that, Ryan. That is that is a game that it is so fun. What each of those expansions bring, and it's a game that we have played a lot.
Totally.
Like this isn't like we just immediately just bought all these expansions and then never really got it to the table that much. We started off, with the base game and kind of got Forsaken Lore pretty quickly. I would almost suggest if you play the game once and you like it, just pick up Forsaken Lore, because it just it really feels like kind of the starter game. It just doubles all the base stuff and whatnot. But man, if you keep playing this game, they have so many good expansions that add, extra map board. I have 2 separate map boards that could be in play during the game, and those are a ton of fun and exciting when they come out. Obviously, they're just adding the things we love. Way more awesome characters, way more ancient ones, just new events, items,
cards in every deck.
Every deck is just getting bolstered. And what's our favorite thing about this game is every time you play it, the surprise of the unique situations that come up. And so if you just keep adding more and more to that, I'm sure eventually there's diminishing returns where it's like, okay, you're getting...
where the diminishing returns comes in is when you're trying to shuffle those tiny item decks and stuff, and you're like, man, there's so many. Or the other one is when you have to look for conditions. Like you have the condition deck, and it's like, I gotta find this haunted condition, and I'm looking through the entire deck. So.
Right. I suppose some people might separate the decks out, but then... Yeah, I don't know.
You've got a giant table.
Then you've got a lot of different things. We always just keep one massive conditions deck. But anyways, so that's one that, obviously a little jarring when you actually add up the totals of how much you've spent on something. Although I actually I remember my birthday a couple years ago, I want to say, we always do a sibling gifts, and the sibling, you guys just
we beefed up your expansions.
You loaded
to that,
me up on.
So you haven't personally paid.
Yes, this isn't necessarily what came out of our bank account per se, but one of our bank accounts for sure. So,
but it is your current collection kind of level of value,
right? So there's Eldritch Horror coming in at number 5.
Nice. Yeah, it's a game that it's a big sandbox, and that's the fun of it is what can happen every time you sit down, what's going to happen this time, and each expansion you get, every game you play now has that potential expanded.
Literally a perfect expansion.
So we really love expansions for that game. My number 5, this is actually kind of funny. I knew this list was going to get a little spicy when Foundations of Rome missed the list at number 6. Just barely.
Oh, Ryan, that's not good. That is not good.
Yeah, I have a feeling my ceiling here is going to be a little higher than your list.
I think so.
So my number 5 was a Kickstarter, and we've done some Kickstarter. I did more in the last couple years, but I'm actually kind of pulling back on it a little bit.
It may actually be for them all to arrive.
Yeah, exactly. It may actually be a video I like to do at some point, is kind of reasons why I am not as enamored with the crowdfunding.
Wow, hot take.
Yeah, really hot take. But this is one that I'm really glad I got. But there is a strong correlation between spending more on games and getting them through crowdfunding campaigns. This is Final Girl. And specifically Final Girl Seasons 1 and 2, I think all of that all in. Now, I don't do I do the gameplay all in. I don't care about all the little miniatures and everything. I just want the actual gameplay stuff.
You have the self-control. That's impressive.
I know. Well, honestly, I feel like it wouldn't make the game even necessarily better on these small boards and stuff. I don't know. Others may disagree. But altogether, I am coming in at about 265 on all of that for Final Girl. Now, there's a big caveat here of we are not including things that haven't delivered yet. This is one where I did back Season 3. So if I had counted that into this calculation, that would bump this up to my number 2.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But as of right now, 265.
There you go. Pending.
And this is one I am super happy with and do not have any regrets.
Mm-hmm.
There's a video we have on the channel of me literally for an hour talking down the ranking every killer location and Final Girl from seasons 1 and 2, which required me. That means I played all of them. So I have played a lot of Final Girl, played with a lot of, or I just made it all up, for the good of the channel. But this is one, it's become the staple of my solo gaming. Like, it is kind of my favorite go-to one that I tend to default to if I'm, looking to play a quick solo game.
Mm-hmm.
Love the variety. I mean, similar to what we were saying with Eldritch, this is a game that every time you play, you pick a killer and a location, and you can mix and match any of them. And then within those, there's variability in the items and all the decks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so get each additional feature film you get, you've increase the combinations of everything that you could play with. And so, I really love having a lot of, like, if you play it a lot, having a lot of content for this is really, really rewarding. And so, I'm at the point, it's one of these hard things where it's like, I know they're going to do a season 4. Like, Van Ryder is like running with this thing for good reasons. It's done really well.
Yeah.
But man, there's going to be a point where I'm going to say, okay, I have
where's
plenty.
The diminishing returns?
Like I, have so much that I can play with, but it's also going to be hard because not only are they adding more content that you can mix and match, but it's fun to see them exploring the system more.
Yeah.
Like I felt like season 2 was more creative and kind of fun in how they did things, and I think season 3 is even going to push it further. So it's like for someone who plays the game a lot,
they purposely do that. They start off,
So we'll see if I at some point have the self control to be like, you know what, I probably don't need more Final Girl stuff.
There you go. Let us know down below. Will Ryan have the self control? We'll check in.
After they watch this video, their answer for us is probably going to be no.
That's my bet.
But yes, no regrets with Final Girl. Having a great time with it. Still really looking forward to season 3.
Yeah.
So
Very nice.
It's good to not regret it. Though a lot of this, we have the what's the bias of ownership bias or something where like you're trying to justify that you you've made a good decision.
You've played that. I mean, it's your favorite.
No, this one,
it's your
the
favorite
data
solo
supports
game, right?
it. Yep, and I've got lots of plays log. That video I made is evidence of it. So
so awesome.
Ooh, Daniels getting some.
That was an ill-timed drink right there.
Yeah, no, it was for dramatic effect.
I'm just gonna let them watch me drink for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, Ryan, my number 4 is one that, in terms of items for the game, like number of things purchased, probably the lowest. Actually, that's not true. That's not the lowest. I suppose it's second lowest. But the things are just quite big. And this is a game that you own the base game to this, but have not gotten the expansion, which I'll say the expansion also is quite a hefty price tag. But some would say, aka Daniel, that it is the best expansion there is. And this is going to go to Twilight Imperium 4th edition, coming in at $221 for the base game and the Prophecy of Kings expansion.
Yeah, this is one that it's good that because I guess we didn't mention another thing we're not adding in is card sleeves or storage solutions, and this is one where storage.
So I actually had a question. I meant to ask you this before the video. Do I add the neoprene mat that I have for the?
I guess that's like an official expansion.
Thing,
right? So you could argue that should be added.
Well, then shoot, this maybe should have been. Yeah. I don't know how much that was. I can figure how much that was.
That's okay.
We'll leave it out for now. But anyways, I mean, this game has just a ton packed into the base game already, and I think the base game's around 120 somewhere around there, and then the expansion's another $90 I want to say. But man, it is the expansion. When I was researching it, people were there were a lot of people that were like, this, I can't go back. This is how Twilight Imperium needs to be played. And I was like, I already love Twilight Imperium. Is that just bias of you buy something and then you feel that way? But I kind of agree. It adds some just incredible things that would feel like, man, I am missing so much if I just went back to the base game. All of these, you got each faction now has these unique different people, like a leader and mechs and all this stuff like that. So just even more very unique things for your faction. There's just so much out there. They improve the playing with, if you're not playing with 6 players, which is really nice with like the whole hyper lanes and stuff like that. And it's just packed full with incredible stuff to where, like, in my mind, you're totally fine getting the base game, and I mean, you have the base game, and you'll have a ton of fun. But I will warn you, if you play with Prophecy of Kings, like, it just takes it to a whole nother level. So in terms of like value, I mean, this is a game you play like at best once a year. I played it twice actually last year, so there you go. I will be shocked
unless you're one of those groups that there's like some groups that this is their game and they play.
I know there's like a nearby gaming place that they've got like a weekly TI4. I was like, I can't even imagine. Hey, but once the kids are old enough, then we'll do weekly TI4. So, I actually really would love to play a game with you. And I'm not even sure there would ever be a scenario, but I would love for you to try Prophecy of Kings, the expansion, because cool.
I need to just get it to the table again. I have the base game. It's one of those games you have to think ahead and schedule a day to try to get the full 6 people. And I need to just make that happen sometime. I could see myself eventually getting the expansion. It just makes no sense. I haven't even played the base game in the last 4 years.
I'm going to tell you right now, Ryan, don't get it.
Until
because you gotta. And for me, it was I kind of got them in a bundled thing and whatnot. So it's an incredible experience, and one I absolutely do not regret having, because while it doesn't get played a lot, for that situation where I'm gonna have an all day thing with,
it's also like one of your favorite games of all time.
I mean, it was my favorite game of all time. So spoiler.
I guess that. I was trying not to full spoiler, but
I was trying to justify it, So
there we go. I see.
Okay,
it'll carry more weight.
Yeah, that's right. So that's my number 4, Ryan. $221, still less than you.
It's true. Yeah, maybe all yours will come in under my number 5.
I know. I'm more
I know for a fact that is not going to be the case. Cool. You mentioned, how it's not a lot of different items. It was like 2 different boxes. My next one is just one. So it is just one thing that happens to be quite expensive. And that is because it is a collector's edition that is an all-in-one, all the expansions in the same box. This is Dungeon Fighter Collector's Edition, the 2nd edition collector's set. Now, this is one that it was a hard decision, because I've had Dungeon Fighter since the original 1st edition came out, and over the years got all 4 expansions for that. So I'm sitting here with already put a lot of money into Dungeon Fighter and have this complete set. And so when the 2nd edition came out, my first instinct was, what could they have possibly done that's going to justify me putting so much money into it again when I already have it and already really enjoy it? But of course, I looked more and more into it, and it was like, man, every change they made here was good.
Very good.
The way they streamlined things with the locations, picking 2 instead of having like the preset maps.
Yeah.
Just like literally every change in the game, I'm like, ooh, that's a good change. Ooh, that's a good change. And then on top of that, because it was this Kickstarter that did well. I didn't actually get it through the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
But it did well enough that they were able to expand it with a lot of these, stretch goals of different content. And that's a game where it's very fun to have all these different types of shots that you have to do. And so I got to the point where I was like, man, I see Dungeon Fighter as a game that I'm going to have in my collection for the rest of my life and play. And there's nothing really like it. And I really love it.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to have it in the collection for the rest of life, do I want the version I have now, or do I want this other one? And I was like, I think it's worth it to me to get it. So I did that. I was able to sell off the original to a friend of mine. It didn't recoup much of the cost compared to the $270
oh my gosh.
of the collector's edition.
Wow.
But this one's still pretty early. Like, I've only played the collector's edition less than 10 times probably. But it's really like the final form of a game that I played the 1st edition 70 sometimes. And so it's like the final form of this game that I know I've loved and want to keep in the collection. And honestly, it was fun to breathe some new life into it, to be like, ooh, this is kind of a fun new version. I love the changes they make. There's new things that I've never seen before. So I see this one that I'm going to keep playing, for the rest of my life. So if that proves to be true, then this was very worth it.
I can't wait to see you in the nursing home someday. Yeah. Trying to reach under your legs, throwing
yeah. Here's the swirling shot.
Honey, lift my leg up.
Dungeon Fighter's going to keep me young and spry.
Yeah, flexible.
Yeah.
There you
go. Dungeon Fighter comes in at my number 4.
Very nice. My number 3 was once my favorite game of all time. And when something's your favorite game, kind of like what yours, just whenever anything's your favorite game, I mean, you want to buy more stuff. You want to buy more stuff for it. And this is actually on my list, the only campaign. And when you're really into, a campaign and you just get, this is one where you can get the next thing and play the next thing. And so my number 3 is going to go to Star Wars Imperial Assault, coming in at $250. Now, I could have spent even a lot more on Star Wars.
Yeah, because you don't have a lot of the expansions for it.
Yeah, right? So I was kind of calculating it up. I've got the base game. I've got Twin Shadows expansion, which is kind of like a mini campaign and adds some, characters and whatnot. And then I've got the big box Return to Hoth expansion as well, which is another full length campaign and stuff like that. And then I had, I think, around 4 just little mini expansion packs that just add a specific character. So like think like R2D2, C3PO,
classics.
Yeah, there were a couple others in there. And so that came to the total of $250. And so originally just got the base game and played through the campaign with my buddies in high school and just had an incredible time. But it's so cool when you're hooked on a game like that to then be like, oh, now we can go get, So then we got Twin Shadows and we played through the mini expansion or the mini campaign. And then we're like, okay, what's next? And so then we got Return to Hoth.
Did you play the Hoth campaign?
So we got halfway through it and we didn't finish it. We had
stranded on Hoth.
I know
That's the end of the story.
I think I still have the booklet. But that will never be finishing, unfortunately. But I'm in a Star Wars group right now that we're playing through the main campaign, and so maybe we'll get to Hoth at some point here. But then even after that, I know they've got another big box, Heart of the Empire, I want to say was what it's called. It
sounds familiar. There's some Jabba one.
Yeah, there's Jabba's Realm, I want to say. So I mean, more. It's one of those things that, again, as if you grow to really love it, there's definitely a lot more to go. And what's cool is the stuff that comes in each of the expansions isn't 100% isolated to just that campaign. Like there's a decent amount of, especially with like the side missions and stuff, like those all can happen in any campaign, which is kind of neat. So it's one that I've definitely gotten my money's worth for it. I mean, I guess you could argue maybe not out of Return to Hoth just because I've only played half of it. But it was, again, one of my favorite games. I've played through the main campaign. Coming up, this is my third time. I played once as the Imperial side. This is my second time as the Rebels. Played through Twin Shadows once, half of Hoth. I feel like that's pretty good. That's
pretty good.
It's pretty good. So I it's one that I've just absolutely loved having. It's one of my favorite campaign games. And so that is why it comes in at number 3. And you've never played Imperial Assault.
I've never played it. Yeah, and it's kind of a hard one to imagine.
You played Descent with me back in the day.
Edition.
Yeah. So
kind of similar. Yeah. And I have, Lord of the Rings and Journeys in Middle-earth. Like we've played some games that maybe have some similarities, but
I do not miss Ryan and his college buddies whooping me on Descent. I tell you that. That was rough.
Yeah, so I think Imperial Assault is a good example of one that, you've expanded in a way that makes a lot of sense, right? Because it was like you finish the campaign, like, oh, let's get the next thing, and then do that, and then do the next thing.
Because there's probably some people that like buy everything, buy a ton of stuff immediately, and it's like,
that's one of the big downsides with the Kickstarter model is because it pushes you to, hey, up front, get a lot of this
before
content.
if you even like the game, or two, do you have the time? Like, here's the other thing: by the time you finish the main campaign, maybe you want to play a different game with a campaign. Like, my gosh, these games that it's like, here, pay up front for 5 different full-length thing, or it's just,
I feel like the same things happened with video games where, like, over the years a lot of times they would be like, and it includes a 300-hour camp, like, to get through the main story mode.
I'm like, that's not
appealing.
Like,
over time it gets to a point where it's like, is that
that's a
good
con?
Like, is this the only game I want to be playing?
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, it is interesting trying to figure out, like, kind of how much you want to be putting time into the same game.
Right.
But my number 3, I feel very similar about, in that I feel like I've expanded it as I've been playing it a ton. You have mentioned it already. This is Eldritch Horror. Eldritch, I basically have everything Daniel has plus the rest of it. So I have gotten all the expansions to Eldritch, which lands me somewhere in the ballpark of $325.
Oh my gosh.
But
that much more to go.
That is over a decade of playing it a ton. And it was like, we only would get the next expansion once we had played, a number of games with the expansion we just got. It really was only at the end that I think I got, like, the last couple at the same time, because I was just afraid they were going to not be available anymore. Because, like, I just wasn't sure with Fantasy Flight and being acquired by Asmodee, like, are they going to keep these things in print? And I kind of wanted to have the complete. It had if there's a game that's proven to be like a group favorite staple that gets to the table and that benefits from that variability.
Yeah, that might win the award for most requested game at Ryan's house.
It's the one I turned down the most, because if I always accepted when my groups are wanting to play it, some of my other games wouldn't get to the table. But I got to be the the game master sometimes and just lay down the law of the land. But yeah, Dango really already touched on a lot of it, as far as like why we feel expanding this game is really worth it. But it's really only worth it if you're playing it a ton. And we have. Like, I'm over 40 some plays, and that's for a game that's 3 hours long. So happy to have it all. I think it's going to get played a lot more. Now that there's no more expansions to get, the cost per play is just going to keep ticking down as I play it more and get more value out of it.
Exactly. That's the beauty of board
games.
It'd
be a good video actually to do sometime. Is our best
ratio.
Cost per play. You could even do like cost per play
per time or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
There you go.
But yes, Eldritch Horror, my number 3.
My number 2 now is one that Ryan has already mentioned. I actually didn't own this game at first.
Yeah, I not only persuaded myself to get it, but I was so persuasive that Daniel.
You were persuasive. Well, and here's the deal. It was one that I knew I always wanted, but then when I started seeing what this, not only the changes, but just all that came in this collector's edition, I was hooked. And so this goes to Dungeon Fighter, specifically the collector's edition, which, as Ryan said, came in at $270. And you've touched on kind of most of it. I have been so impressed by this collector's edition. We are typically a little cautious of collector's editions. I've had some in the past that it's like my biggest fear is that they add all of this stuff, but it actually almost makes it harder to get to the table. You have to adding this stuff. It just takes a lot of time, and it ends up actually making just playing the game harder. Yeah,
and bringing it anywhere.
And you can't bring it anywhere. Box. They did such a good job of adding a ton of just super fun. They added so many crazy objects, the lava, volcano, the cup, just all of these,
and it's all like nice plastic pieces now. It used to be just like cardboard stuff in the old edition.
Yeah, and even just like different dice, like a metal die, just like all these in a game that's already wild. It just adds so much more crazy fun situations, but they make it just so accessible in that the way you're kind of you're using kind of those cards to just go through the the dungeon. Like you just pull out the object that comes up on the card, and they've got great storage systems, so it's really easy to find and grab the thing. I was like, this is exactly what I want in a collector's edition, where adds just a ton of awesome different variety, but makes that variety easy to use and just part of the natural flow of the game, where it's not taking longer to set up, it's not bogging the game down, but it's truly adding tons of value. And so I found the collector's edition breathed so much life into a game that we already loved a ton.
And you didn't have it, so you went from not having it at all.
I went from $0 to $270. Yeah, so it was a quick jump, but I had played it a ton with you, and was one of my favorites, and it's one that is just so unique, and that it's gonna be in my collection, for a lifetime. So. I will join Ryan at the nursing home, and we will play together.
Add remind me in 50 years.
Remind me in 50 years.
Rolls in the family and see if Ryan and Dang are still playing Dungeon Fighter.
We'll live stream from the nursing home.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh no, it's 7 or what would be that 80 something.
That's true.
We'll still be fit. And,
Oh, I thought you were gonna say there was gonna be like new technology where like
true,
like
maybe.
People just like put on their
we're just going to be in our vats, playing games, virtually.
Right,
so,
exactly.
In the Matrix. So
So I will, as you mentioned, I haven't gotten the value yet from that edition.
From like a per play.
Metric. Like per play is not looking too hot, but
it's only about $70 per play.
Hey, you know what? There's worse things you could do. So
I could have spent this on drugs instead.
That's how I justify every purchase. It's
Yeah.
like this or drugs. And then that's how I decide.
It's like, wow, this is a much more responsible decision.
Okay. Here we go, Ryan. What's your number 2?
Number 2. You do not have this game. This is a game that I got into on the ground floor right when it came out way back. And it is the type of game, it's in a family of games that the expandability is kind of off the charts because of the nature of the, call it the model of game that this is. This is Lord of the Rings, the card game, which is one of Fantasy Flight's living card games, which the whole idea with that model was, instead of a collectible card game where you're buying blind packs and you don't know what you're going to get, instead they're going to release these monthly packs that you know exactly what you're going to get. It's guaranteed, and it's curated to be really good for the experience or whatever. And so I got in right away with this. I got some of the early packs, though I did not keep up or try to keep up. Like, they outpaced me like crazy. That was probably one problem with the model, was like, who really is playing this enough that every month you need more for it, especially in a game where you can build your own decks and stuff. Like, you would really have to make it like your lifestyle game to feel like you're really keeping up with those releases. But I always just thought it's like, oh, it's always nice that there's another expansion I could get once I feel like I'm ready to get something. And so over time, I did get a lot of things. I kind of was trying to tally it up here. I think I have 9 of the small packs. I have like the first cycle of 6, and then like 3 out of the second cycle. Then I have several of the deluxe expansions. I have the Khazad-dûm first, like Mines of Moria expansion, and then I have both of the Hobbit Saga expansions, which are like kind of the more deluxe expansions. And then I have 2 of the newer. They've since changed their model to more of this. It's a way better model. They now sell, for any cycle, they do the player card box that has all the player cards from that cycle, and they do the campaign box, which has all the scenarios and stuff. Whereas it used to be split over 6. You would have to get the deluxe expansion and then the 6 packs over the cycle,
Yeah.
which is really annoying if like, oh, I can buy 1, 2, 3, but pack 4 is out of print, like isn't sold, or so like I can't finish the story because I can't get the pack or something.
It is annoying.
So I do have 2 of the newer campaign boxes, and actually, as I'm saying this, I'm realizing I have 3 of them because I forgot that you picked up. You found that deal on 2 towers, right? Or no, I don't have 2 towers yet.
What was the?
Never mind.
What was the one? Was the one I got at?
You got the
in
Fellowship
St. Louis
of the Ring.
Yeah,
Fellowship of the Ring. Okay, so I'm right here. I have the. I'm gonna forget what the non-saga one is, but I have one of the other campaign expansions, and then I have the Fellowship of the Ring. I want to get the 2 towers, and then when they release the Return of the King one, just because at that point, honestly, I might consider my Lord of the Rings collection complete, because it would be fun. I have the full Hobbit saga. It'd be fun to have the full Lord of the Rings saga able to be played.
Yeah.
But what I do have shoots me up to $350. But again, spread over. The game came out in 2011, I think.
You don't have
so
to
it's basically spread over 13 years. I have played this game over 250 times, I think. So this one honestly probably wouldn't even be doing that bad from like a cost per play kind of perspective. So definitely feel like I've gotten like all of my money's worth out of it. Yeah. There's a little bit of me picking up these, like I picked up the Fellowship of the Ring one. I haven't even touched it. Like I still am technically in the middle of a campaign on the other one, but it's this little bit of like, I know I want to have these to kind of finalize my collection. So I could see myself finishing those last 2, picking up those 2, even though I'm not like going to actively play them right away. But yeah, living card games, I mean, it's a slippery slope, man. I've been tempted. I now have technically the base game for Arkham Horror, the card game. And it's like there's so much content for that game. And so it's a little scary when I'm already in on one LCG. But because I am coming from the perspective of just seeing them as expansions, I don't see it as like this thing I need to keep up with.
Yeah.
It helps to kind of keep it in check, but it's like, man, and then there's Marvel Champions, which is fun, but I don't have, and it's like, it'd probably be a bad idea to pick up another. But yeah, LCGs, easy games to spend a lot of money on. I'm sure there are probably some people watching that have spent more on LCGs than I have.
Right.
But it lands at my number 2.
Okay, Ryan, here's where the rubber hits the road. This is where full honesty.
Oh, yeah, your number 1
comes out. This one,
although I feel like I probably fronted a lot of the cost to. Pretty sure I know what's coming.
You did front a lot of the cost on this one. This one, so we've got a big jump here. Although I'll just put a caveat that calculating this total was very really challenging. Like we're talking just kind of a ballpark thing here.
We got.
Yeah,
a lot of it used when it was already out of print.
Yeah.
So all the pricing is really thrown
So the
off.
pricing got wonky, but this one is by far the most in terms of money spent, value had, whatever you want to call it. This is going to go to HeroScape. So HeroScape, my estimate is coming in at $450 for HeroScape. Okay. This was very challenging because Ryan got me back when I was in 7th grade the Rise of the Valkyrie master set,
which was out of print. We had to get it on eBay, and it was much more expensive than it would have been.
Because the MSRP was $40.
If only we had known.
Unbelievable, man. Inflation. Wow. It's just changed since then. I tell you what, that'd be like, seriously, that master set would be like $150 now.
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, we're seeing HeroScape getting rebooted now by Renegade.
So
it's really expensive.
So it's just wild. But yeah, you paid, quite a bit. We have a family video at Christmas of me opening it up and immediately crying out of excitement. It totally shocked. I never thought we're going to actually get HeroScape. So was so excited to get that master set. And man, we played that a lot. We had so much fun.
And we very quickly started expanding it.
Yeah, and so
because at the time there was a lot of the other content that was still kind of available at retail.
Yeah, the hardest one was the Rise of the Valkyrie. That was the hardest master set to get because it was the best one, and it was just came with the most and was awesome. But soon after, we got the Swarm of the Morrow master set, which came with all the swamp things, the hive, that huge, the most expensive guy who's got the little guy on his back, Torkolna. There you go, Torkolna. Yeah. And so that added a ton of just like those two together were really awesome. We were playing that a ton. Then shortly after that, we got Battle of the Underdark, I think, master. It's the
You're digging way into my memory. Because somewhere along there, we also got the castle set.
Yeah,
and
we
like
got
some
Fortress
of
the that we got the big castle set. We got the Battle of the Underdark master set, which is the worst of the three. Actually, Marvel's probably. I never got the Marvel stuff. That was I was never a big fan whenever I tried that, but yeah, so got the castles. So that was like our initial push on HeroScape.
Well, we had several waves of characters.
And that was the other thing is we were adding character packs and that. And so that was already a good chunk of change there. Yeah. But then after that, I got really into HeroScape with high school friends, and my buddy and I went out and this is where more leaning into the secondhand market, because he wanted HeroScape stuff. Well, I also was kind of going in on picking up more HeroScape stuff, so I was able to get a hold of Lava, which was the Lava kind of expansion, which was very hard to find at the time, as well as the ice, I think it's ice stuff as well. Forest, the forest, pieces. So now I've got trees and stuff, all throughout there, as well as additional character packs. I've got a lot of HeroScape stuff, and it's crazy. It's a lot of money. I've gotten so many incredible plays out of it. Like it's such a joy, and it's one that I think about as kids, my own kids now growing up. It's like I cannot wait to build a map with them, and that was half the fun for me. I loved creating, me and my buddy would get to
I mean, literally, if there was no game, it would be a cool toy
for sure.
Like the way you can make these landscapes like easily and then put these characters on it.
When we were playing it through high school, like we would get there an hour before everyone else, and we would start building and just the creativity of what do we want to do, and then to be able to play an epic game on the thing that you just spent all this time creatively building.
I still find it funny that like the guys doing this, building this map to play this game are like the captains on the football team. It's just kind of like a collision of worlds here a little bit.
Oh my
gosh. Like, what do the jocks do in their free time?
We're playing HeroScape until 3 a.m. That's what we're doing. Yep. Yeah, it was a huge hit, and we even my buddy and I we started getting into creating our own HeroScape characters. I think we created 2, and they were actually sweet. Like we would play with them, and they, we fine-tuned them and balanced them, and they felt really good. And we have so many great memories of HeroScape, and it's like, they're coming out with all the new stuff, which is compatible. Am I correct on that?
It is.
So in that sense, like on the one hand, it's like I already have so much, I don't need more, and I'm not really playing it right now. On the other hand, maybe in the future, like prices will maybe come down.
Well, and I'm in the other boat of I don't have it. And so there is a little bit as like my kids got older, man, I could see myself wanting to, it is really expensive, the new stuff, especially because I would probably want it. They have like the non-painted and then the pre-painted.
Yeah.
Because that was a big point of contention is here, the original HeroScape was all pre-painted, and that was part of what made it all just look very cool.
It's awesome.
But the world isn't what it was back in 2004.
$40.
So it's just way more expensive to make that happen as a company. And so Renegade, to kind of play to both sides, offers both. You can either get it not printed, but it's a huge jump. It's almost like double, I think, to get the pre-painted.
But it looks
honestly,
sweet.
That's probably what I would want, because I'm not going to paint them myself.
It's a huge difference.
And like it is what just kind of completes the look of the whole landscape. We'll see. Maybe if we do this list again in 5 years, I'm going to be like, so I got HeroScape.
And it's my number 1 now.
Yes. We'll see.
Yeah, there you go. Well, and if you get HeroScape, the new stuff, we could then, maybe we'll get together and do a little combined.
What is the situation where?
Well, the same time we're playing TI4. We already established.
Yeah. Daniel's gonna road trip out here with all his HeroScape stuff so that we can.
Yep, we'll bring a trailer.
Well, believe it or not, Daniel, I have spent more money on a game than at least your estimate for HeroScape.
Yeah, I might have even been a little low on it, to be honest, but
probably. Yeah. But this is one that by far was my biggest splurge since I've been in the hobby. Like the biggest moment of knowing, am I really going to spend this much on it? Because this was an all at once cost. Like it wasn't, I bought these expansions over time. And it was, of course, Kickstarter getting me. This is Marvel United. And so when Marvel United had their second Kickstarter that was bringing all the X-Men stuff, but also making the previous whole Kickstarter available again, I was looking into it a little bit because they've been getting some buzz in, reviewers and stuff. And the more I looked into it, I was like, man, this might hit what I've been looking for in a very accessible co-op game that, has a very appealing theme. Like people know Marvel, but is a game that I'm going to want to play over and over and over again because of all the mix and match variety. And so while the Kickstarter was going, I bought the base game off Amazon because it was available and we played it several times and it went great. We enjoyed it with my wife, enjoyed it like every group we played. And I was like, yeah, this is awesome. So at that point I had already decided like, yes, this is a game I want to have in my collection, for this purpose. Well, then it becomes a question of like, well, am I going in on this Kickstarter? How much do I need for it? How much do I want for it? And
need and want are two very different questions, Ryan.
Exactly. And Kamon or Simon or whatever you want to call them, they know how to run their hype. They've got a well-tuned Kickstarter hype machine going, and they're the type of company that announces more of the add-ons as they go. Much like if people don't know that going in, it's actually like really annoying in some ways because you think you're already all in, and then they're like, and adding in another $40, expansion that you can get, and you're like, well, I'd already decided to go all in. And so there's a lot I don't love about that model. And again, maybe a future video, we'll talk about this a little bit. But I, looking at kind of like how much we were enjoying the game and like how the variety in it is easy to use because it's a shorter game and you can mix and match any of it. I think I got to the point where I was like, I want the whole first season because that's a lot of the characters people know and stuff. And then maybe, I think you actually had to do the X-Men base set because it was actually the X-Men Kickstarter. But as it went on, I ended up deciding to get the full X-Men series as well. And so those two together, I mean, it's an absurd amount of content. It really is. If you look at all the stuff. So here we are. It's probably over a year later since I've gotten it. How am I feeling about dropping,
Well, how much did you spend?
I have it I didn't say. It's $550.
Oh my god.
That's what I have that at. And so since then, I've played it a ton. I think I'm coming up on like 70 plays, and that's just in a few years.
Pretty good.
So knocking out of the park as far as a game that's getting to the table, I've definitely enjoyed the variety. Now, I've only played with, I probably haven't played with 80+% of the content.
Right.
That said, I kind of am really enjoying that because when I get it to the table again, there's always a new character I can try. There's always if I'm with more a group that knows the game, there's a new mode we can try or something. And so there's no regret yet. Like there may be a point where I'm like, okay, I probably could have gotten away with just the first season and not having, the second season. But it's been a hit and it's been great. And when when you're trying to justify dropping that in the moment,
you're looking for
definitely something I was thinking about a lot was, man, as kids get older, this is a really good game with kids.
Yeah.
Cooperative, fun characters. And so it's like, I can imagine a world where we are playing through a lot of that content. And I actually have already been playing Marvel United with my 3-year-old son who got really into Spider-Man stuff. Actually, this was an
genius.
accident. I didn't even think about this, but I'm representing my top pick here.
He's a
but so
genius.
it's been very fun to play with him. It helps that it's cooperative though, so I can help him with anything and like kind of simplify certain decisions to what he can understand. And he's just loving this imaginative getting to play out with these characters, what's happening with the minis and stuff. So it's so fun to kind of see him do that. And I'm getting to kind of play a pseudo solo game of Marvel United because I'm driving a lot of the decisions.
Don't tell
but
him. Hopefully he's not watching.
Yeah, I don't know if Toby's subscribed. So yeah, we'll see over the years if it stays as the game that's in this niche in my collection, and like if it catches on with kids as they get older. I really could see all the content getting played and me being glad that I have all the content. I managed to get it all down into 4 boxes out of the 18 they came in or something.
Yeah, we'll link your you made a little YouTube short.
Yeah, we have a little YouTube short that shows how I decided to do that in a way, because we talked about with like collector's editions, and this was a big thing I thought about, is sometimes when you get that much content, it just makes the game so hard to play. It's like so hard to take out, it's so hard to take anywhere. So that was a big thing. I was like, if I'm going to get all this, I have to, the whole point is this is an easy cooperative game to get to the table. It has to stay that way. So I've organized everything that my base box is completely standalone, playable. I can just bring that somewhere if I want to, and it has a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, that's really
And then,
smart.
I have the boxes that if I'm at home and want to play with a bunch of the extra stuff, I can break out kind of these expansion boxes.
That's really smart.
So pretty pleased with that.
And you didn't even mention your wife really likes this game too.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big
huge
one, because she's not much of a strategy gamer, and it has been a game we've enjoyed playing 2-player. And that's really big. Like, we don't really have any other kind of cooperative game like that we would play.
It wasn't even just that you liked it, but it kind of knocked the like niche that it was going for out of the park, I feel like.
Yeah, let's be honest. If my wife hadn't liked it as much when we got that base game and tried it out, like, her liking it so much definitely pushed me to justify.
Did. Yeah, no, totally.
Because it was like, it's not that often that I find a game like that that's really resonating with her.
You're like, I'll spend as much as I need to.
Now, here's
happy wife, happy life.
Yeah. Since getting these 2, they've done season 3, which was like the multiverse. I showed restraint. I didn't go in it at all. I didn't, I was like, I've got so much. I don't need any more. And it was getting more into like, not just like the normal recognizable character, but all this multiverse stuff. There is now a 4th season coming that's DC United. So they did actually get the partnership with DC to do that side of things, which honestly doesn't interest me that much because I'm kind of more into the Marvel side anyway. I could see a world where I'm intrigued in picking up the base set, because the base set's going to give you the heavy hitters like Batman, Superman, the Joker, like the really well-known DC ones. And it's like, that'd be kind of fun to have those. Cool. Then people know them and you could throw them in with the other stuff. But I certainly don't need, more content.
Right. You don't need any of this. That's the
in
the
fact,
revelation.
We should stop using the word need.
Yeah, like, come on. Yeah, that is.
But there you go. Marvel United tops of the list for both of us.
Yeah.
So there you go. I don't know how that compares. It is so relative, right? I know there's a lot of people in the hobby that have spent double this on single games, especially if you're into Kickstarters. Man, I know there are some crazy expensive Kickstarters. Yeah. There's others that maybe have not been as deep into this.
You think we're the crazy ones,
and they're like, you guys are insane.
That's called our wives.
So, but I think one thing that we try to do well is we try to play our games. And like most of the games we talked about here, I think we really have played a lot. And so that would be my advice to anyone who's looking to spend, kind of justify as like, are you really going to play this? Is it going to make it to the table?
Well, and even a great example with Marvel United, you bought the base set first to at least verify. Like, you didn't just blindly go in.
Yeah.
You verified, like, okay, I really like this. Yeah. No, every single one I think on our list, I think would say, we deemed
we've
it
at least justified to ourselves.
And that's all that matters, right?
And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
So there you go. Yep, that is the games that we have spent the most money on.
Well, if you are interested in spending as much money as we have on these games, we've got links down below. Feel free to feel the addiction and click some of those. It also supports the channel, which we appreciate. And we've also got a couple videos here, but we will see you guys in the next one.